Awesome, thank you. Can everyone hear me at the back? Beautiful, okay. So the first thing I want to make sure this talk doesn't do is guilt anyone into exercise. So I'm hoping that by the end of this, you'll have a good feel about it. You'll understand why it's a good idea, and then think about how you can actually start introducing it into your life or back into your life if you are not currently going about it. This is one of my favourite slides ever. So this is talking about the relative risk reduction of those who are exercising versus those who are not with cancer. So what they're essentially saying is that there is a 21 to 35% reduced risk of your cancer coming back. There's a 28 to 44% chance of a reduced risk of dying from your cancer, and then a 25 to 48% reduced risk of all-cause mortality. So that is when you're comparing people with cancer who are exercising versus those with cancer who are not, okay? I will say this is a longitudinal study. I think there's 35,000 men with prostate cancer and women with breast cancer in this study, but these figures are amazing. And this is not Olympic-style exercising. This is exercising relative to the person's capacity. Now, I'm going to scare you all with a nice big diagram, because a lot of the time you'll hear, exercise is good, you should do it, it's great. But we've heard that from when we're like 20 and we get home from work and we think, I just can't be bothered. And I find this also sells it to people. So every time you exercise, you produce what we call myokines. So they're little proteins that are pumped out within your body. So these come out systemically. And these little guys are involved with mobilizing your immune system, so making your immune system work better for you. They help increase tumour cell death, so your cancer cell, increasing the apoptosis of your cancer cell, and also improving this anti-tumour environment. So you're creating this environment within your body that is essentially another form of treatment. Now, I'm definitely not saying exercise is the only treatment. Please don't mistake that at all. This is a really benefit adjunct treatment. The other exciting thing is that it's a really proactive treatment. So you can take charge of it. It's your choice. It's not being done to you. And you can pick what you want. So there's not necessarily one specific type of prescription that works best. It is the best non-pharmacological method to reduce cancer-related fatigue. So if you look at Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, that is essentially saying Q1 is the less amount of fatigue that you've got, people limited, moderate fatigue. Q4 is maximum fatigue, okay? What this is saying is the more fatigued you are, the more likely that exercise is actually going to be beneficial for you to reduce your fatigue levels, which is mind-blowing because it seems like it'd be the complete opposite, right? You do exercise, you feel pooped. If you're fatigued, you're not going to want to do it. But the research out there says that you will actually feel better if you are more fatigued than if you're not. This also works in what they look at vitality. So the more fatigued you are after exercise, essentially the better you feel. This makes sense. The more exercise you do, the more strength you have. But if you look at strength not from kilos lifted, but from, I don't know, if you're a bit younger, climbing up ladders, picking up grandkids, doing stuff around the house, doing the things that you really like to do, this is what exercise can do for you. So you don't want to just look at it and go, oh, I want to improve my muscle strength, but it's about being able to do the things that you want. And you will notice when you're on things like androgen deprivation therapy, muscle mass is one of the first things to go. And so if we can help maintain that muscle mass, your quality of life goes from here to here. And once again, I will reiterate this and I'll go through this in a second, but this is not Olympic-style lifting. Okay, this is moderate exercise based on the things that we can do to make your life better. We've spoken a little bit already around mental health benefits, but we know that physically inactive men with prostate cancer experience high levels of anxiety and depression. Exercise interventions are well known for reducing distress, anxiety, and depression scores. We know this, it's been really well established. And I don't know if you guys, either you might go out for a walk or play with your grandkids or whatever, and you just feel a bit better. That's actually a stimulus coming from within your body. Exercise is known to either improve or maintain body composition. Now, the one thing I do want to state is if you're on androgen deprivation therapy, exercise may help maintain body composition, but there is a lot of work to be done if you want to try and lose weight using exercise. That's where nutritional advice is really important as well. One study suggested those on androgen deprivation therapy had to do about 300 minutes of aerobic exercise a week. But from my perspective, exercise is not necessarily about body composition, it's about muscle strength. It's about being able to do the things that you want to be able to do for the rest of your life and live really well while you're doing it. Also, if you're on androgen deprivation therapy, it's been shown to reduce bone mineral density. So exercise, one, can actually help maintain that loss, so you're less likely to lose bone mineral density, but you're also less likely to fall and fracture something. You'll have better agility, you'll be able to climb upstairs and downstairs just that little bit easier. So then the question is, and this is what we get all the time, well, what should I do? Because the world is endless. You would have seen hundreds of thousands of sit-up equipment things and treadmills and Nordic walking. There's hundreds of things you can do. But I guess it is all about what you actually want to get out of it. So do you want to improve your aerobic fitness because you feel like when you walk to the shops that you're huffing and puffing a lot more than you used to? Or are you just looking to feel a little bit better? Are you looking to actually improve your bone density? Are you looking to improve your balance? So you can start creating a picture in your head of what is it that you actually want to achieve, and then you can work out whether is aerobic probably better, is multimodal, so doing a bit of aerobic and a bit of resistance, or do you need to do a bit more impact exercise to frighten your bones into developing some strength about them. So if we go into aerobic exercise, it's the walking, it's the, I wouldn't say running, cycling, dancing, swimming, rowing. It is anything that makes you huff and puff. Now, I will have many a guy come in and say, oh, but I walk. And the question then I ask is, do you actually huff and puff at all, or is it like a cruise with the dog while the dog pees on every tree? That's more of a saunter. I'm not sure you're going to get the stimulus, the benefits from those first couple of slides we spoke about when you're just having a cruise. But if you get a bit of a huff and puff up, that's when we start talking around moderate intensity aerobic exercise. We're not saying that you need to sprint for, 100 metres and literally keel over, but we're saying that you need to actually get to a point where you're challenging your system a little bit. If you're not challenging it, it's not working. When we talk about individualisation, and this is the big thing that's coming out of a lot of the research now, it's not plug and play, exactly like Henry said. You need to think about what treatments are you having. So having a radical prostatectomy is different in terms of exercise prescription than someone who's on androgen deprivation therapy, as well as someone going through chemotherapy. Do you have planned treatment coming up? Do you have bone metastasis that we need to be aware of because we don't want to overload that site? Now, that is something that you can easily adapt for by just not loading that joint. What do you want to do with your life? Do you want to go back to bowls? Do you want to kick a footy? All those sort of things create this recipe that you can create your own program with. 20 minutes is probably, I think, the minimum dose, but if that's 2 10-minute walks a day, that's all you need to do. If you want to do more, you can. They say up to 45 minutes is useful. 1 session a week is okay. 3 or 4 is better. You know, some is better than none, more is better than less. And it's just about slowly, gradually improving your intensity. So you can start off slow. You don't have to go at like 1,000,000 miles an hour and then end up really, really sore. Just start slow, build it up. I lost my resistance training. I did have a resistance training slide as well. So resistance training is when you're using your muscles. That is where you're going to build up your muscle strength from. So if you're going through androgen deprivation therapy, you want to actually maintain your muscle strength. This is harder to do on your own. You may need to come in and see someone to chat about what it is, but you can do exercise at home. You can do exercise in a local gym. You can do exercise in the park with those equipment things. You can do it in groups. You can do it by yourself. Okay, there's 100 ways of doing it, but normally they say you should be doing at least 2 sessions of resistance training a week. Okay, it only, once again, has to be sort of 6 exercises. It doesn't have to be crazy. The big thing that I'd love you to take home is intensity is key. So it is not light where you could walk for 4 hours. You need to create a stimulus in your body. Create this environment that helps fight cancer. So moderate, it's about, 6 out of 10 if you had to think about it on a scale from 0 sitting on the couch, 10 you're puffed and you're done, you want to rest. Okay? You can build up to vigorous, that's awesome. I certainly wouldn't encourage people roll between 9 to 10 out of 10 unless they're working with someone. And if you look at resistance training, really similar. You could be lifting something, thinking, oh, this is reasonably heavy, I feel myself working, my muscles are somewhat fatigued. It's all you need. So, my takeaways. Some is better than none. For you men, resistance training is one of the things that I think we lack in this population. I really do, and I really encourage it because it feels good to be strong. And you guys have all been there previously, and there is, the literature says, the evidence says, the people who have previously done this, the guys in your same position who've gotten into this, they say it, being strong feels better. You can do more, your quality of life is better. Get support if you need it. So support in terms of what can I do, ask questions, but also get mates around you who might want to exercise with you, get family, friends, people to keep you on track. And the last thing is, there's so much that you can do that tailoring it essentially means to look at what is most important to you. That's where you start. Very, very quickly, services that you can get in SA. So as I mentioned, you can have one-on-one services with exercise physiologists or, I'll rephrase that, cancer specialist, exercise physiologist or physios. You can do group services, so group classes, it's like your own little support group, but you're huffing and puffing. And you can also just have one-off consults just to chat about what you do and kind of work out if it's suitable or not. You can use a team care arrangement, otherwise known as a chronic disease management plan, to get 5 sessions, and you can get a couple of sessions to an exercise physiologist. You can also use your private health cover. There are hospital rehabs like Calvary Memorial who do cancer-related fatigue if you feel like your fatigue is significant. Funded programs, so I'll put my hat on, and I look after the Expo program in SA for those who have just been prescribed androgen deprivation therapy. But that website there, the exposa.not.au, actually has a list of locations, and even if you're not referred into the program, those locations have got a list of exercise physiologists who are really comfortable working with men with prostate cancer, so if that's something that you're interested in. There is also, I think even through the PCFA, there's a a company called Prost that does online exercise prescription for prostate cancer. There is something called a Pink and Steel program for breast cancer and prostate cancer. You can do things like parkrun and Strength for Life as well if you think that 5K is manageable. Don't do it if you haven't ever, or not recently walked for a while, or give yourself a build-up. But there's also student-led clinics at Flinders University and University of South Australia that are pretty well funded that you don't have to pay for as well. So you can also use income protection too. Sorry. If you would like to know more, and I've just rushed through that really quickly, email Mark or speak to your prostate cancer nurses because they have all got really good ideas of where you can go if you want some assistance. And that is it.